coming from musical theatre into burlesque, it just felt like the biggest breath of fresh air.
Welcome to Finding My User Manual, a podcast all about learning how to be human when no one gave you the instructions. My name is Tigz and I am an empowerment photographer based in London, UK. And gosh, I'm so excited for this one today. We are joined by the one and only Didi Derrière. Hi, my love. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thanks. How are you? I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm trying to remember the last time we were in a room together. I feel like it was last summer when we were testing out some cameras at Emerald Theatre. And so I'm just really excited to catch up with you because you've been smashing it online lately. You've been showing up for yourself and I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
Thank you. No, it's been a real, I suppose I say experiment, but it feels like stepping into a new skin or shedding a skin. I don't really know how I would describe it, but yeah, showing up online as myself. Well, I am always myself, but I suppose without the makeup and the wig and
Yeah.
speaking to camera has been something that's always scared me, but has been so rewarding showing up and seeing people's reactions to say, wow, it's inspiring, or it's so nice to see behind all of the glitz and the glamour and to see who you are like authentically. And yes, it's been a real nice way to connect to myself and to other people.
Oh my God, absolutely. Well, for anyone who hasn't yet had the distinct privilege of meeting you or getting to know you, Alice, better known to audiences as Didi Derrière, is one of the UK's leading burlesque artists, celebrated for blending classic glamour with impeccable fashion and a perfectly pointed toe, if I may add. Over the past decade, she's performed on stages around the world, was personally chosen by Dieter von Teese to be her alternate in the London production of Diamonds and Dust, became the face and first headline showgirl of the relaunched Windmill Theatre, and even found herself wearing Madonna's original Jean-Paul Gaultier blonde ambition corset after being discovered by a hashtag. Alongside performing, Didi is passionate about nurturing the next generation of burlesque artists through coaching and mentorship, and is currently the resident burlesque performer for Belle Livingston's 58th Street Country Club with the Lost Estate, where immersive theatre and vintage glamour collide. And perhaps most impressively of all, she's built an international career in entertainment while raising two children, proving that motherhood and showgirl sparkle are anything but mutually exclusive. Thank you so much for being here today and giving us a little bit of an insight into the world of you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and talk about all things glamour and motherhood and being creative.
So I'm going to ask you the very first question, the question I ask absolutely everyone, and we will see where this conversation goes. I feel like it's going to take some fascinating turns. If you came with a user manual, what would it say on page 1?
Page 1. I mean, I feel like this is always changing, if I'm honest with you, which is kind of what I'm learning about myself is constantly evolving. But what it would say right now, what I've discovered about myself is to focus on how things feel rather than how things look or how things are perceived. And it's difficult, I suppose, in the world of show business because, and specifically burlesque, because things are geared in, people are looking for that polished look, that perfection, the perfect costume, the perfect makeup look, the perfect wig, the perfect photo to promote yourself. And that's all amazing. And yes, that's great. But actually, really what it comes down to is, are you enjoying this? How do you feel in your body when you're doing it? And just constantly rechecking in, because you can get all the praise from the outside, but if you're not feeling good in whatever area of your life, then we need to look at that. How does it feel is how I look to guide myself through life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you sent through the chosen theme and topic of this and like sent through what would be on page 1 of the user manual, my immediate thought did actually go to, I wonder how you manage to balance that as a performer, because as you said, there is so much about image and the visuals and the aesthetics of being on stage. Your career is so aesthetically pleasing. A lot of people are drawn in by, speaking about myself here, the glitter, the sparkle, the feathers, like the textures, everything else. When you show up on stage, does it feel like a costume in the sense that it's very easy to separate that side of you from the offstage version of you? Does it feel like an extension of yourself where the standards of how you are seen and perceived by others feel so much higher than in your day-to-day life? Or like, how easy is it for you to separate all of that out?
I suppose what I'm learning to do at the moment, it's gone on a journey throughout my whole career. It's easy to go into autopilot sometimes, but on stage, if you've been doing this a while, and I like to step on stage and think I want to have the best time ever when I'm on this stage, regardless of how many times I perform this act, how many people I'm performing for, because the audience are always going to connect to how much you're enjoying yourself. And yes, there is a level of performance to that as well. One of the tricks that I use is I pretend that I'm hearing the music for the very first time. So
I love that.
my movements, I'm not anticipating my movements, my choreography is I'm instantly just responding to the music, and that I'm allowing that to be a natural organic thing, because if I feel that I'm flowing as one with the music, and my energy is connected in that way, that's all going to just feed out to the audience. Whereas if you're kind of ahead and you're kind of, oh, I know this move's next, and you're anticipating it, it becomes a little bit disjointed, and then the audience, regardless of whether they're conscious of it, they will feel that. And it's about, if you can really have the time of your life and kind of have this pleasurable experience on the stage, again, whether they're conscious of it or not, the audience are going to be like, oh my gosh, what is this thing that they
Yes.
are, I suppose, exuding from their body? Like, what's this energy force that they're so like wrapped up in, that they are having the best time ever, and they want some of that themselves, so, or they feel part of it. So yeah, that's kind of how I connect it.
Yeah, because I think I'm in the very, very brief, I mean, I was only performing burlesque for maybe, I think it was 2 years. But I will say that for most of us going to see a show, it may be the first time you are ever seeing that act. Might not be the first time you've seen that performer, but it might be the first time you've seen that specific act. Or maybe it's only the second time. And there is a novelty and excitement to seeing your favourite performer perform something new for the first time. On the flip side of that, though, and I'm sure so many performers of all genres will agree with me when I say this, some of those acts have been performed for decades, at least years, and it's being performed week in, week out. Maybe you're a performer that's doing 5 shows a week. You are doing that act 5 times a week. It's not novel anymore. And so to find ways that you can connect in new ways to that music and find that love is a real testament to the skill of the performer. How does it feel for you when you are when you lean into that music? What does that connection feel like? How do you know you've hit the right space before you go on stage?
I mean, there's a few little rituals I do before I go on stage.
Okay.
Especially like to be honest, it all depends on where I am in my menstrual cycle, like what my hormones are doing. Am I in my luteal phase? If I'm ovulating, I don't even need to think about it. Like, I just know automatically it's be the best performance ever. Or I'm gonna feel great, because you're just you're magnetic. All of your energy, or your energy is kind of going outwards. When that's happening for me, my performance is going to be great. But before I go on stage, especially if I'm feeling nervous or if my energy is not really where it needs to be, what I try and do is I breathe, and I push I kind of visualize pushing all my energy down into my womb space, because your sacral area is where that's where all your creativity is born. That's where your creative energy lives. And especially as women, that's where, yeah, where our femininity lives, like in our womb space. And especially if in burlesque, we're going to be moving our hips a lot, and it also grounds you. So it takes your I suppose your energy from out of your head and your chest and your shoulders, where it can be a little bit like tense and uptight,
Mm-hmm.
like down into your hips and your womb, where you can just feel powerful, grounded, and like in control. That's one of the things that I do. I also think about hearing the music for the first time, and sometimes visualization as well, anticipating the feeling of like nailing it. You know, that feeling when you're in the flow, you don't even need to think about it. Just if you know what that feels like, you can jump start that inside your body. Like you can almost I think feelings are is psychology basically. Like if you know when you think you're going to have a bad day, or you're noticing all of the bad things, automatically, you know, things come in your
Law of
way, or
attraction.
yeah, all of that. So if you can do this just before you go on stage or in the morning before your performance, I would, yeah, just visualize how you feel on that stage, feeling powerful, feeling like you're really enjoying it, seeing the audience's reaction, feeling the audience's reaction, and just having the best time. So that's kind of some things that I do to get myself into the right headspace before I go on stage.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever really had a conversation like this with a burlesque performer before. And do you know, my mind has been wandering while we've been speaking. A really, really good friend of mine is a somatic practitioner. And I was just thinking while you were speaking and talking about sort of like pushing all that energy down. A lot of somatics, they talk about energy and trauma being stored in the body. And especially, as you said, burlesque is about like lots of movement of the hips, for example. Do you think that there is almost in some cases, and obviously maybe not every performance, but I know you obviously coach a lot of burlesque performers as well, of a release of stored trauma while dancing burlesque? Have you ever come across that in the space or experienced it yourself?
Obviously, there's a process to creating a burlesque act, and
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely coached some students who've had like a lot of emotional attachment to the burlesque act that or the intention going into the burlesque act maybe has come from an experience they've had in their life. And I've definitely helped to get them to a place where not necessarily, I haven't actually yet guided them through a somatic workshop, but that is something that actually was talking to my friend yesterday, who is an energy healer, that we were going to collaborate at some point on a workshop of this kind for women,
Yes.
not necessarily like burlesque professional burlesque dancers that obviously you can choose if you want to, but more aimed at women to feel safe in their body, for their body to be moving in that way. So, and
Yeah.
also connecting to how their body wants to move, regardless of what that looks like. Like, how does your body how does it want to move? Like, can you connect to your body and just allow it to move in whatever way, shape that, you know, comes out as? Because that's healing. That's the stuck energy wanting to move through your body. And obviously then that's a relationship you build with your body. And then as you can use that practice, that's then something you can take into choreography to create a burlesque act. So once you've gotten to know how your body wants to move, you can then take that into the studio and go, okay, my body really enjoyed doing this, or this felt really good for me. So I'm going to make sure that my choreography is based around these moves. And then that can be a healing process, to taking it from the studio to then doing those moves in front of an audience and getting that recognition for that and being seen in that space. Yeah, it's really powerful. But I think that some women, a lot of women, see moving, I suppose, in a sensual way, in a burlesque way, like they struggle with, oh, I can't do that, or my body can't do that, because they're seeing it as, I've got to fit in this box, I've got to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think some burlesque classes, which is why I want to create this workshop, really, is they come with a routine. I'm not saying I wouldn't create a routine, but I think that it's about, how can you make this routine fit for your body, or can it be adaptable? You don't need to look exactly like this person, because that's what works for them, and how what fit. But
Yes.
it's all about what feels good for you. Like, it's not about what it looks like, but if you had no mirrors and no eyes, like what feels good for you?
I so relate from that from a boudoir photographer perspective, actually, because I think there are definitely ways, and I think in a roundabout way, this comes back to body standards, beauty standards. There are ways that we feel that are acceptable to be seen. And, you know, there's poses that people will come to me and say, I specifically want to recreate X or Y. And it could be pulling a very specific photo of someone else that I photographed off and go, I want to look exactly like that. And the interesting part is, really, the photos that always look the best are when that person is naturally doing what their body wants to do. And so the magic for me in terms of photography is not the poses that I guide people into, but it's the way that they micro adjust themselves during and between poses that are actually the moments that feel the most connected, the most strong. And I think, you know, in terms of watching, I mean, I've had the privilege of watching you on stage for, gosh, how long have you been performing now? I don't know if I want to know the number, because I feel like it's going to age me.
I think the first time you photographed me was either 2012, when I was like, when me and Felicity did the Showtime
That
burlesque.
one, yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
14 years ago. So,
Oh my gosh. So I've had the absolute privilege of watching you for 14 years. And actually, do you know, and I've said this a couple of times over the years, even in those, because that was a troop number. So I think there were probably somewhere between 10 and 14 of you on that stage, minimum 8 probably anyway. And it's very interesting, because I used to go along, I used to photograph a lot of the burlesque graduations. Shout out to Zoe at the cheek of it. And I used to sit and watch on the stages, and I used to walk away and I'd come home and I'd say to my husband, that one, like, they're the ones to watch. And you were one of the ones that actually stood out, like, from literally that first performance. And there is something about the way you hold yourself on stage that I've just never seen anyone else do. And I can't even put it into words. I feel like if anyone has watched you perform, they'll just, like, there aren't words to do it, but you have your own natural body movements. And I don't think I've seen anyone else move the way you do. Like, there are certain, you know, I mean, fine, everyone has their own, like, pin-up pose stand, you know, the beveled foot. Yours is different. I can't put my finger on what it is. You and the way you move on stage is so authentically who you are. And I think that's been there from the very, very beginning. Was that something you always felt comfortable doing? Or was it something that you were just like, you know, I'm going to try and do what everyone else is doing, but actually, you know, later on, yeah, do you know what? No, let's just do it my way.
if I'm honest with you, it feels like it's in my bones. Like, I can't,
Yeah.
It's never been something that I've tried to learn. Obviously, I've done the burlesque courses, but for me, that was about the community. That was about the accountability to create things in that space, in that safe space, and get the feedback and be nurtured. But in terms of movement, when I was training in musical theatre, this is actually really funny. My ballet teacher. So I started to go and watch burlesque shows when I was in my second or third year, when I was training musical theatre, but it was never something that I was like, I'm going to do this as a career. It was just something I was really interested in, and I loved the atmosphere. I loved everything about it. And my ballet teacher came up to me after my third year final performance, my kind of showcase, and just pointed at me and said, burlesque. And she's like this in her 60s. She's like this, like, old, typical, like, stereotypical, like, ballet teacher. She was like, burlesque. And I was like, Yeah, like I love burlesque and I've been to see quite a few burlesque shows, but it was almost like she predicted my future before I even knew what I was gonna go on to do.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah. So, but I remember like every single routine I ever did at college, like, yeah, there was routines where you've got like kicks and leaps and turns, but my favorite ones were always just like the sexy
The
character
showgirls.
showgirl stuff. And
Uh-huh.
that's why when I found Burlesque, I was like, oh my God, I can do all of my favorite stuff. And I don't have to do all the tricks that you need to kind of like score the points for. Like, obviously, the kicks and the tricks and the splits is amazing. And yes, we can use those in our acts. But I just felt like I was cheating because I was like, I can just do all of my favorite stuff and I don't have to do all of the other stuff that's too difficult.
I don't have to get the twists in, and I don't have to have the perfect number of pirouettes. I can do all my favorite moves and do the things that make my body feel happy when it moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You were
And
born to
that's
be
what
free on the stage.
yeah, it's honestly like it just felt like it felt like a cheat sheet to be like, what? So I don't have to do all of the difficult stuff and like break a sweat and be panting. I can literally walk 8 walks across the stage like really slowly, and that's gonna be like the best thing about the act.
Oh, yes.
It's just such a pleasurable thing to think about. Just even now, I think when I'm creating a burlesque act, like I really get off on the idea of like I can now just stand here for a count of 8 and just hold the room and just scan the room with my eyes, and that's a move. And it's also going
Yes.
to be the best move of the act. So like that's my
Oh,
favorite thing. Yeah.
absolute power move. Actually, I was going to ask you when you choreo, how much of your acts are actual fixed choreography and how much of it is I want to feel the vibes and what's good in my body on that day, and I'll like, is it like I've got a good pose on every 8th beat or 16th beat, or is it like, no, I'm out here, I've choreoed this entire thing second by second?
Okay, so it depends on what year I choreograph the act. If I'm
I had a feeling you'd say that.
So, like at the beginning, like honestly, I feel like my whole burlesque career is all a journey, which is amazing, and this is why I'm really enjoying speaking about my experience online now because I've got so many different versions of myself that I feel I can pour up pour into new performers to like help guide on a way to help find the best version of themselves. At the beginning, I definitely choreographed every single beat because I was coming fresh out of musical theatre school. Everything was choreography, stand here, do this pose, perfect
Hmm.
lines. And that was my earlier acts. And then as I kind of went on in my career, I remember the first time I ever freestyled was at Cellar Door. Have you been to Cellar Door?
Oh my gosh, once, and so long ago. And do you know what? Ironically, when you've been somewhere, and I know it's underground. It
Yeah,
is underground. It's the one that used to be the old public toilets, right?
yeah, yeah,
I can't tell you where in London that place is. I just know I've been there once and I had a great time. I've never found it again. I mean, I could Google it, of
yeah.
course, but yeah, it's like a mystery, and I'm
Forgotten.
quite happy it's staying that way.
I remember running to Cellar Door after
Uh-huh.
I'd done a gig at Proud Camden, and I needed to do 2 acts there, and I'd got my feather fans in, like, a cardboard tube or something like that, and I was running, and I think I'd got on the tube or I'd got on a bus, and the feather fans had fallen out the back of the cardboard tube, and I didn't realize. And I got there and I had no fans, and I was like, what am I going to do for my second act? I did have another costume in my suitcase, but it was for my Bring on the Men act, which the choreography wouldn't work in that space. It just wasn't the right space because it was such a tiny little space. I needed a chair, and
Oh my
so I
gosh.
just
And was this back in the days as well when we were all bringing music on CD-ROMs or
yeah,
MP3 players, and you only had 2 tracks? So it
yeah.
wasn't like you could just plug in your iPhone and hope for the best.
Well, what I ended up doing was it was a pianist and they just played something for me. And
Oh my
I,
gosh.
yeah, because they in between the burlesque, they would do the singing
Yeah.
and the acts in between the burlesque. Um, so they just had to play something for me, and I just had to freestyle to it, and I was so nervous. Um, but I had the time of my life because I had all of this adrenaline, and I was just like kind of going for it. And I then, after that, I just said, every time I come here, I'm going to freestyle at least one act. And that's going to be my learning. This is going to be my kind of training ground of how I can develop this skill to freestyle. And thank God I did that because I had the best time ever doing it. But also, so many of my gigs now are freestyle. A three-piece jazz band and a singer, and the singer will sing something different every time. Or maybe you've got a different band, and even if they're playing the same song, they're playing it slightly different, or you're in a different space. And I feel like I now freestyle like at the drop of a hat easier than doing choreography because I'm so used to doing it. And I do really enjoy it. So when I'm choreographing acts now, I actually find it really difficult to nail one specific move down because I have this argument in my head going, yeah, but on the night I might want to do something different. It's like I don't want to corner myself in because I'm so used to
Oh my
freestyling.
gosh. Yeah.
So it's a combination of the two now when I'm choreographing. Yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, oh God, I think realistically, I think I only had two complete acts. I don't know if I ever got round to doing a third. I remember just with that one being like, I don't know if I can be as on beat as I need to be. So I worked it out into different breaks of the music. And I'm like, right, by the time I hit that crescendo or by the time I hit that, I need to be doing this move. So I might have only had about like 15 actual things to do. And then it was like, I'm just going to give myself time and grace to get there so that like I can make sure that I really hit those. And I genuinely wonder if I had stuck around, whether I'd be a good freestyler or not, or whether, I don't know. It just feels so great though. And especially if you're leaning into moving your body right now and like really focusing on how it feels, I can imagine that freestyling feels so aligned for you.
Yeah, it does. But it then does heavily rely on the energy you're getting from the band.
Yes.
If it's a live band, obviously if it's a track, you need to know your track well, you need to know when it ends, you need to know where the beats come in, because even if you're freestyling, you still need to have good musicality. And if there's a very big, like you're saying, a big crescendo or a big accent, when you're watching, I mean, this is just me personally, but when I'm watching a performance and people don't acknowledge those moments in the music, there's something inside of me going like,
Something's been
oh,
missed.
yeah, like I need you to hit it. I need you to complete that loop in my head for me.
I feel like for anyone who's listening going, what are they talking about? You know, when you go to a club and they're playing the music and the DJ hypes you up and hypes you up and hypes you up, and then they just keep putting off that big drop, and they just keep like that frustrating feeling of just drop that beat. It's like that when you see a performer that is missing those steps. Is exactly the same, just on a different genre of music and stage, I suppose. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. So there's obviously freestyling is great, but there's also, you can talk about the structure to choreograph an act. But there is also a structure to freestyling as well. Like you don't want to peak too soon. You definitely want to take your time. And you learn very quickly with freestyling that especially if you've got a lot of adrenaline and you might be nervous, you'll probably move far too quickly, do far too many moves. And that is
Run out of
where,
clothes.
yeah, exactly. And I think with freestyling, it's really where, I mean, depending on the tempo of the music or the style of the music, but is where you can really learn to slow down and take up space being still and feel that power. Because if you know that that's an open-ended amount of time for you, that you've not, because if you've choreographed it, you've practiced it, you know what that feels like to stand still for that long. But sometimes it can be quite, I mean, I really get off on that fact sometimes when I'm on stage. I'll just stand there and go, I'm just going to stand here for a really long time, or I don't know when this is going to end. I'm just going to, you kind of sense the tipping point. It's almost like playing chicken with the audience. Like, I'm going to tease you for this long. I don't know when it's going to end. Like, you don't know when it's going to end, but it's going to end at some point.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I think choreographing an act is such a personal experience as well. And I just love seeing how different people respond. I mean, I know for the most part, performers try to pick as different tracks as possible. But even, I mean, there's Benny Goodman's, is it Swing, Swing, Swing? That is just,
Yeah.
as an absolutely iconic one. I think I've seen so many performers to that, but it's finding ways to make even the most iconic of things your own as well, individual. Were you, even as a kid, were you a stage queen, or like, is that something that you've built over time? How naturally did the stage come to you?
So I've danced since I was 3. So I've been on the stage a lot, but I would say probably when I got to about 11 or 12, kind of like that coming of age time is where I really got obsessed with learning how to have my own personality on the stage rather than just I started to work on my own craft, push myself, wanting to improve, couldn't wait to get to the dance studio. So yeah, that's really when I started to come into myself as a solo performer.
Did you know exactly who you wanted to be, or has it been more of a learning process?
Oh my God, massive learning process. I didn't know at all. I just knew I enjoyed it. And this is
Yeah.
what with my kids now, it's hard to guide them because you don't know exactly what they're going to do. You don't want to project, but I try to say to them, just keep following your joy. Like, what is it that you enjoy? What lights
Yes.
you up? Because you can't I couldn't have predicted I would have been a burlesque dancer from that age. I probably, yeah, didn't know what it was. Parents didn't know what it was. Probably wouldn't have encouraged me at 12 to be a burlesque dancer. Who knows? But they love it.
At least one of yours, correct me, it might be both, but at least one of yours is like, has got the stage bug.
Yeah, well, they both love to perform. Jonah toured with Lion King for a year playing
Yeah.
Simba. So he absolutely loved that. Loved being on the stage. He loves to sing. Evelyn also loves to sing and act as well and dance. She hasn't done a professional job like Jonah, but yeah, they both definitely love doing that. But they also love many other things as well. So it's, you know, helping them, guiding them in a direction that and reminding them they don't just have to pick one thing. You can do one thing and then you can do something else. Like you can change and leave that behind, or you can merge two things together. Because when I was at school, I loved art and I really wanted to go to university and study fine art. But I also really wanted to dance. And I remember my mum saying to me that she said, "Well, you can paint when you're 70." She was like, "But you probably
You
better to
can't,
use
probably
your
can't
body."
dance when you're 70.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't go and train professionally, but you could go back and do an art course in your 60s or 70s. Like you can go and do that. So I felt like that was sound advice. Like she said, you're not saying no to art forever, but you're just using your body now while it's young enough to
What
dance.
great advice, Mum. Excellent
Yeah,
advice.
yeah.
And
So
even then, I would say your burlesque journey. I mean, I'm literally thinking back to when I first saw you on stage. Your stage persona has evolved with you as well, hasn't it? Because I feel like your very, very early performances and the character that you brought to the stage and that version of Didi has evolved over the last decade.
Oh, massively. But I feel like I kind of look at my career through evolving through what acts that I feel
Mm,
drawn to create. Every time I create a new act, it's like a new character unlocks. And then you you kind of keep a little bit of that character going into the next one. Like you have almost all of these different levels, different um hats that you can wear, because once you've
Mm.
experienced what it's like to perform, like when I do my fashion act, it's very
Oh
strong,
my
it's
gosh.
very, the energy is very forwards and outwards and powerful and strong.
Yes.
And it feels really good. But I I had to visualize that act before, and I realizing now actually feeling is what leads me to do everything, because I always almost imagine what I would feel like doing this act on the stage, what I can visualize in my head, this kind of music, this kind of aesthetic, these kind of movements. And I'm connecting all of that to how it would feel on this in me, being that person on the stage, and everything is
Yeah.
built around that feeling. And then when you actually experience that feeling on the stage and you go, oh my God, this is actually, sometimes you come into the world of burlesque and you go, I want to be this kind of performer. But then when you experience doing something that's a different kind of energy or character, you might lean more into that. But I love the fact that you don't have to just choose one. You can have a roster of acts and different personalities as you know, or characters that you decide on each day which one you're going to do, which is that's what I love.
Are there any that you feel more magnetically drawn to than others? And I guess the follow-up question to that is, are there any acts that you're like, I don't like feeling like that on stage, and have retired them?
um I would say it depends on which day you ask me, but I my my fashion act is definitely something, an act that's very, very, very close to my heart, and is it's got a whole show attached to that act, like a whole one woman show that I would love to produce and hopefully will one day.
Oh my
Um
goodness, I did not know this.
yeah,
Brand new
so I
information.
yes, there's a lot of narrative. It's almost like the act is bigger than just the act. It's like a whole, yeah, it's a whole level of me, that
Yeah.
act. And I almost also feel it was the first act I created that felt like it was birthed from a single like kind of idea. I wanted it. I've created it because I wanted it to be different to all of the other burlesque acts that I had, but also that I was experiencing or seeing from people around me. I wanted to do something that wasn't stereotypical burlesque costume removals, like the corset, the gloves, the boa. I wanted it
Yeah.
to come off in a different way. I wanted the audience to be surprised by which part of the costume came off at what time,
Yeah.
and kind of shock reveal and things like that. And it was all based around a fashion show. So I wanted the costume to evolve and create different outfits throughout the act. So it was like a fashion show
Mm,
itself. So the skirt, the big skirt came off and revealed a mini skirt underneath, and the sleeves to the suit came off and revealed like sleeveless. So yeah, that was the idea, and I was really proud of it when I came up with it. And I was excited to get it on stage, and I still love, yeah, I'm still in love with it now as much as I was then. I'm connected to all of my acts. My Nina Simone fan dance, which is the one I created when I was pregnant with my daughter, is also a really enjoyable act, but in a completely different way, because I don't take anything off. And it's all
yeah.
about the tease, the hide and reveal. And I would say it's my easiest act to perform it, in terms of there's no stress around what if this corset doesn't come off, because I'm not taking
Hmm.
anything off. It's all in, everything in that act is all about how can I connect to my pleasure like the most? How can I enjoy every slow fan like movement and stroke of the feathers? And that's what I connect to. And I just love the music as well. So
There is, I mean, having had the privilege of seeing and now photographing both of those acts, I mean, the first one was iconic for so many reasons. And actually, I think I'm trying to work out if maybe, because you were pregnant at that time, I'm trying to work out if actually you were one of the first people I'd photographed on stage performing while pregnant. And so I think at that time, potentially, I mean, I don't know how, looking back, I'm trying to work out contextually how the industry was looking, but I do feel like performers were maybe taking a bit more of a back step in terms of being pregnant and performing on stage. Whereas I am thoroughly enjoying this movement now of so many performers going like, just, yeah, like actually owning that part of themselves during their pregnancy while on stage. That in itself is just a wonderful thing to see as well.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I'm inspired by that as well. I just didn't feel like I had a choice. I didn't give myself a choice because I was so desperate to be on stage. I was like, I'm not going to wait until I've had the baby. I'm just going to do it now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because you spoke about this in one of your reels that you've been putting up.
Yeah.
Just give us a brief little overview of that. I mean, if you want the absolute full story, please just go check out your social media channel, because this is like what is at least 4 parts, isn't it, the story?
Yeah.
But the brief overview of pregnancy and at that point, because you hadn't realized when you were signing up for performing at that time, right?
No, I literally got pregnant as soon as I graduated from musical theatre school. And I had booked the beginner's burlesque course before I graduated. So found out I was pregnant, couldn't audition anywhere, did the beginner's burlesque course whilst pregnant, and I loved it. Thought that was going to be it, really. I thought I'll just do a beginner's burlesque course, but I loved it so much, met so many people. I was like, oh, I have to do the next course. So had my son, did the next one, and then got pregnant again, and that another contraception, and that was a big shock. So, but I just felt I was so eager. I was so in the world, and I couldn't get enough of it. And actually looking back now, I'm really happy I had that passion, because it is hard as a mother to get back on the horse, as you would say, or to re-emerge, because you are a different version of yourself. You have to get to know your body again in a different way, and you're exhausted, you might be breastfeeding. There's so many different changes that you're going through. My desire to be on stage was just so strong, and to be part of that community around all of those women, around all of that creativity. I just had to have that as well. Like I didn't want to come out of it and have the break, because I suppose in some way I knew that would support me. Those women and that community would nurture me and my creativity as a woman, as a mother, and as such a young mum. I didn't have my family in London. That was almost like a really amazing community for me to be in. Even if there wasn't other mothers within it, it felt to me like a really safe space. And I'm happy that I just got stuck in, because it carried me through that first years.
What is it about that community and burlesquehood, I suppose, for lack of a better term? What is it about it that is so wonderful that keeps you drawn into it? Beyond obviously the stage.
This is all my experience, and not everybody has the same experience, but coming from musical theatre into burlesque, it just felt like the biggest breath of fresh air, because everyone was focused on finding who they are as an artist. And yes, we can fall into the trap of comparing each other. And that is something that I have to come back to constantly, is going, I'm me, no one else can be me, and I can't be anyone else. But that was so obvious coming into the world, because it was like, who are you? What's your thing? What's even if it's not the thing that you have, but like, what is the act that you're known for? Maybe like, as you're first stepping in, what can you create that's different? What's exciting about you? And in the world of musical theatre, where I'd just come out of, it was all about heavily comparing you. Well, you're going to be pitted against each other for the same role. So, you know, you need to be better than that person, and was very competitive, and
Mm,
it can be quite toxic. So even though no industry is perfect, that there are things within the burlesque industry that um can be problematic or have been, but for me it felt such a nurturing space. And I think if we can have these conversations to keep bringing ourselves back round to what are the things that we can all do to help each other grow individually alongside each other, is to remember
yeah.
that we can support each other, we can cheer each other on, and we can point out. And what I loved at the beginning was people would recommend me and tag me, and someone was looking for an 80s act and they would tag, oh, Didi does Madonna. And it just felt like people were cheering for you, and
Yeah.
in return you want to do that for other people as well. So yeah, I think it's really about everybody finding who you are as an artist and going along that journey together.
I can't speak from personal experience in recent times, but I do remember going and doing my when I did the cheek of it, and I had my burlesque graduation show, and I'd been in the industry for a while photographing, so people were aware who I was.
Mhm.
And I remember sending messages to people going, hey, it's my graduation, my burlesque graduation. If you want to come, like, would love that. And didn't really expect anything of it. Honestly, genuinely, I was like, you know, whatever, people probably aren't that interested. It's my graduation show. I'm still learning. And I remember being absolutely blown away because Betsy Rose turned up, and Missy Fatal turned up, and Banbury Cross turned up, and Taz, who was doing lighting at Proud, who I had known and worked alongside for years. I was shocked that people wanted to show up and support me. And I think that told me everything I needed to know at that time about I had found people that I genuinely wanted to spend time around. And I mean, there were other people, like friends that came, obviously, like my partner came, but I was honestly blown away that people who in that time, I mean, they were the Proud residency crew. They were they were smashing it in the London scene. I mean, they still are. Banbury's obviously out in the US now, but to have that caliber of performer still want to show up and be there and support you, even to this day, still blows my mind that they were there. Do you think that in that idea of like the difference between the two worlds, do you still feel the same beauty standards are applicable in the world of cabaret? Or do you think that it's given you a whole new set of beauty standards that you're maybe required to meet?
I think, are you saying in comparison to like the more mainstream stuff?
Yeah.
I think that I'm blown away all the time when I see when I come across performers that I don't know, or new performers that come on the scene that find something that's different, that's no one's kind of tapped into yet, that they've kind of claimed for their own thing, whether that's a makeup look, certain style of wigs, or style of performance, lip syncing, whatever that be. I think that you can really reinvent yourself in the cabaret, burlesque, drag space. It's such an
Mm-hmm.
anything goes space, which is what I love. Obviously, there are also pockets of our industry, like you do have the more corporate side of stuff where you they want that kind of more Dita Von Teese polished look where it's rhinestones and feathers. And it's great. Obviously, you can earn more money from those gigs. Well, you know, you
Mm,
get paid quite a lot of money from those gigs, but it's I love like the getting down to the real like cabaret clubs where it's all being created. It's all kind of like coming up from the roots, and it's exciting, and it's all bubbling away, and people are experimenting and trying different things. That's really the heart of the burlesque and cabaret world, because we are as much as when you're in it, it can feel mainstream because we're so desensitized to it. We're so like, well, who doesn't know about burlesque now? But then you're constantly coming across people that have just seen it for the first time and just been introduced to it. And
Yeah.
it's always so exciting to me. And I just feel every time someone says it's the first time I've ever seen burlesque, yeah, it really makes me excited that they're stepping into this world for the first time, and they're not going to look back.
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes forget. I feel like I forget that I live in this bubble of cabaret inclusivity, I suppose, and, you know, the burlesque performers, the cabaret, the magicians, the drag, the circus, and everything else, and just how wonderfully, wildly varied and diverse the entire group is. And then having a conversation with someone and going, oh my gosh. And they're like, what's burlesque? And I'm like, oh, let me introduce you to this fantastic world. And I have to remember that the outside world exists. And like, yeah, I may have to exist there for 5 minutes every now and then to ground me and realize how lucky I am to be surrounded by all of this fabulousness.
I think that's what's actually reminded me or made me realize actually showing up online as myself, as I suppose, without the wig and the makeup. I've always just thought, well, who cares about that? But actually, we do work in a very interesting industry, and even just on the street when you meet people, or backstage, or just in general life when you're introducing yourself and you're saying what you do, that people are so interested, and it's nice to be able to share parts of our world with people online that don't get to live that don't get to experience that, because there's so, yeah, it feels good to tell stories and share things and experiences, because we get to experience so many wonderful, sparkly, humbling
Yeah.
moments as well.
Well, for anyone who may have been listening today, and it might be the first time that they are discovering our wonderfully fantastic, sparkly, glittery world, or maybe they've known you for a while but hadn't been aware that you are putting content about Alice behind Didi on your socials, where can people reach out and find more of your content and get to know you better?
Mainly Instagram. I think I am on TikTok. I might stop posting more there, but yeah, it's mainly Instagram that's connected to my Facebook as well. As at Didi Derrière.
Amazing. We'll make sure that that is posted. And in the meantime, where are you performing? Where can people find you if they want to come and see a show in real life?
So they can find me at 58th Street, which is in Peckham. That's a really fabulous 1930s immersive jazz show. I also work at the Phoenix Arts Club, the Main in Mayfair. I work there. Also at the Ned with Black Cat Cabaret, and at Zidell's Crazy Cox, Le Grand Cabaret. That's what I'm going to be doing in August. Yeah, lots of other shows as well.
She is busy and booked, and you're normally very good at posting where your shows are as well. So all of those fabulous ones, I mean, they're all incredible, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more, and independent individual shows as well. So yeah, get along and see a show. Oh my goodness. I feel like there's so much to talk about. There was a hell of a lot more on our list, but I think we're going to have to do another one at some point and go through a little bit more. Maybe find out how your online series is going as well, and maybe like a couple of months down the line when it's starting to feel very natural for you to be in front of that camera. I'd love to hear how that's going.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'd love to do that.
Until then, thank you so much for your time and being so generous with your knowledge today. I will be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out. Our socials are in the show notes below. We would love to hear from you. Hit those buttons to let us know that you're here, what you loved about the episode. If you have any questions that you might want to ask us for a future one. And yeah, we'll be back soon. In the meantime, don't forget, you're not broken. You're just finding your user manual.